right from the beginning, I had a great desire to be a writer, an author, because I had a peculiar leaning towards literature. My house was full of Ramayana, Mahabharata, Kalyan, and all these magazines. So they instilled a kind of a desire in me that I must also one day be read as I am reading these days, whether it is Premchand or other authors or writers. For a person who has retired, I retired in 2001, January. And after that, I have authored about 27 books. Like I showed to you here.
Yes, sir.
And this is the result published in the newspapers. And all the way his book is declared as the best work of fiction for the year 2019. So after my retirement, I thought this is the now time to make the best of it. Why should I unnecessarily waste my energy? A book by a Hindi speaking person, book on English pronunciation, is being sold in the countries where there is a moral degradation. This kind of moral degradation has set in, and only some drastic change can let the things in the reverse gear. The pandemic must not be seen as a permanent guest. It must not be seen as a permanent destroyer. We are passing through a temporary phenomenon. And this kind of anxiety that the people of, not only the people of the middle class, everywhere the parents are worried about. And that is, I should say, that is a sin to God, towards God. He has sent you here with talents, and you are misusing that. It is criminal. It is criminal. It is a crime. A lot is still waiting to be done. The journey has not, we have only crossed some milestones. The ultimate is still there.
Welcome viewers, I am Alankar Srivastav and this is Middle Class Hub, India's first platform exclusively for the middle class. Viewers, today we are going to talk about the state of Bihar. Bihar, as you all know, has been the epicenter of learning, culture and power since ancient times. And Bihar is the land of Buddha, Gautam, and is the birthplace of the greatest concept that humanity has ever received, the concept of non-violence. As you all must be aware that the earliest seat of learning where the students from across the world used to come, it was Nalanda University in Bihar. And you all would be surprised to know that when Nalanda University library was burned, it kept burning for 3 months continuously because of the sheer volume and the quantity of books that it was having. So that was a time. And today at Middle Class Hub, we are so happy to have Mr. TKB Sinha with us. Mr. TKB Sinha, his name is synonymous with the education sector, learning. He has devoted his life to education sector. And you all would be surprised to know that they say he truly symbolizes that life begins after retirement. What the criteria for retirement that has been set up, after retiring for the last 2 decades, he has come up with some brilliant pieces of work which is recognized, appreciated and read across the world. So from the land of Bihar, he has authored books, several books to his credit. And the most interesting aspect is the English language. Today, the book that he has authored on English language, the pronunciation, the various nuances, complexities of this language, they are being referred to by universities in America, Britain, Europe, and host of other countries. So this is the interesting story and life of Mr. TKB Sinha. So Mr. TKB Sinha, welcome to Middle Class Hub, India's first platform exclusively for the middle class.
I consider myself so lucky that I have been considered worthy of coming to your platform and share my views with my listeners. It will be a great pleasure. It is a rare opportunity for a person like me to be a person like me from Bihar, which has been always in the background of every activity. So I'm thankful to you, and I hope that this meeting will be rather interesting and entertaining and educative, instructive.
It's an honor to have you, sir, on our platform. Mr. Sinha, you have devoted your entire life to, you were associated with Sainik School. Then during the later stages of your career, you were associated with Navodaya Vidyalaya. Just tell us briefly about your earlier life, about your working life, when you were working as a teacher and as a principal, when you retired.
Actually, what you have said I really started my career as a teacher in the year 1961 from Patna as a government school teacher. After serving there for about a year and a half, I migrated to Sainik School because that was the upcoming institution in Bihar, and it was winning laurels. So in 1963, the school was Sainik School started, and I joined in 64 July, and from there I migrated again to Navodaya Vidyalaya as a principal because they needed teachers from Sainik schools because the Navodaya Vidyalayas were supposed to be model schools in the eyes of the government. And I joined Sainik School Tilaya in Bihar. Actually, now it is in Jharkhand in 1964 July. And after that, again, after serving about 27 years, I came as a principal of Navodaya Vidyalaya. And after that, I retired in 2010. So that's of the teaching career. But I must tell you that right from the beginning, I had a great desire to be a writer, an author, because I had a peculiar leaning towards literature. My house was full of Ramayana, Mahabharata, Kalyan, and all these magazines. So they instilled a kind of a desire in me that I must also one day be read as I am reading these days, whether it is Premchand or other authors or writers. So that right from the beginning, and I must tell you that it is very rare for a person who has retired. I retired in 2001, January. And after that, I have authored about 27 books. 27 books. Some are fiction, novel, stories, mostly on English language, pronunciation, and poetry, drama, every genre I have tried to touch because every genre has been interesting to me. So I tried my hand at all that. I must tell you that in the year 2019, in the state of Indiana, University, USA, there was a book contest. It was called the Reader's Choice Awards. And there, I just unwillingly sent my entry. I thought it might not be because it is coming from an Indian. Indian are not that much looked after well. So, but fortunately, my book not only got nominated, it won the first prize in the category general fiction. It is, I can show it to you here.
Yes, sir.
And this is the result they published in the newspapers, which says that Sinha's book has got the maximum voting. It was on the basis of the global voting that the decision was made. So I think it was something great for a person coming from Hindi belt of Bihar, and all the way his book is declared as the best work of fiction for the year 2019. I think the book is this. This is the book. This is the book that was awarded.
Can you just lift it up onto the camera? Can you just
Pardon?
Can you lift the book slightly up? Yeah, slightly up. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it all right? It's
Yes,
okay.
yes, yes.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm really glad to share this moment of my pleasure and pride, I should say, because of Bihari winning an award in America, and that is also on the basis of global voting. I think that should be a matter of pride for Bihar.
Yeah. In fact, for the entire country, it's indeed a matter of great pride for all of us that a book, written by an Indian author, and it's acknowledged, appreciated, published, referred by professors, teachers in universities abroad, students refer to the books.
I'll just come to it. Actually, I had a great desire to do some work for the students of India, because my period of teaching in Sainik School Telaiya had given me a better exposure, because they were the army people there, and the children were very inquisitive. Very often they would ask hundreds of kinds of questions. So after my retirement, I thought this is the now time to make the best of it. Why should I unnecessarily waste my energy and my capacity as a writer? So I wrote 2 books. One is this one, Enrich Your English, and the other was, surprisingly, I'll tell you something about it, Better English Pronunciation. These books were written by me for Indian students in mind, and these books were published by a Chennai publisher. But you'll be surprised to know, and I was more surprised than you could be, that these books were taken over by McGraw-Hill, the giant American publisher.
Yes. Okay.
And they published the international edition of these 2 books. For my publisher informed me that these books would be meant for USA, UK, Canada, and other European countries. And you'll be surprised more to listen that my book on English pronunciation, a book by a Hindi speaking person, book on English pronunciation, is being sold in the countries where everybody speaks English. When everybody speaks English, and that is something fantastic. That is something fantastic that happened. And this book is now sold in those countries, as I just told you. So this is about my books. I've also written some other books. One of my books, it is Class Equations in Our Ethics. This book has got a lot of, I should say, publicity. It was published on worldwide basis by my publishers, and it has also been made available in Japanese. In Japanese. After this, my book Devayani. Devayani is a mythological fiction. Devayani was actually the daughter of Shukracharya. So that book was published by an American firm, Partridge, and that has now been translated, made available in Europe to the readers of Portuguese, Spanish, Polish, and some other languages. So that gives me pleasure that at least books are being appreciated, and wherever books are there, naturally the people will see that it is the name, it is the writer. The writer is not English, it is somebody else. He seems to be an Indian. And when my book will be with that TKB Sinha or something like that,
There must be
Bihar is being represented by me there. And that gives me immense pleasure. Because I must tell you that I had a very, very disturbing experience as a Bihari during the 30, 40 years of my career. Because by virtue of my being a teacher in a very good school, Sainik School was a very great institution in India.
Yes.
Quite good, yeah. So very often, as an English teacher, I used to be sent for seminars, training, and other competitions for children, debate, declamation, etc., etc. And there people from all states of India would come. But whenever they would see Bihar, people from us, from our state, everybody had a very, very, I should say, poor impression about us. I felt it very bad sometimes. I felt offended. I felt affronted. I said that these people have got the pretended sense of pretended greatness into them. They have created a bubble of pretended greatness, which they don't have. As Biharis, we have got better stuff. We have got better understanding of things. We have got better understanding of the environment. But the only tragedy is that we are not vocal. Biharis are not vocal. They are mostly introvert. And they don't want to come in the open. They don't want to come into the limelight. But I am glad to say that today the world is completely changed. It is diametrically changed now. Bihari boys are shining everywhere. Everywhere they're excelling. And in every eye, in every pair of eyes, there is a dream. There's a dream to realize. And they have proved their worth. And I'm glad that they have done it. And I'm highly, highly hopeful that the day is not far when Bihar will be holding the important command of the country. I must tell you, what is wrong with Bihar? What is wrong? Which state in India, right from the days of the ancient history, has been as much in the forefront as Bihar? No state. Can anyone tell me? Can you name anyone? Bihar, about 3,000 years ago, was the most important state in India. It was the state which ruled over India. We cannot forget the Chanakya, Chandragupta, Nanda. You cannot forget the Taxila, where Chanakya was the professor. You cannot forget that Alexander's enemy refused to march into Eastern India further because they were going to face a formidable enemy, formidable army, and they were the Mauryas. So Bihar has always been the forefront. Only Bihar is the state in India which has ruled over more than 97% of the geographical limits of India. No state can say, no state can claim whatever cultural heritage we have. We have been the home of several religions. Buddha attained his jnana. Mahavir was born here. Mahavir, the founder of the Jainism. Guru Gobind Singh, the great Sikh warrior and saint poet, he was here. So all these three great religions, they were here. They were born here. Why didn't any other state do it? Why? Bihar was the state which had great educational institutions like Nalanda, Vikramshila, and so many others which were destroyed later on. So it has all. Which state has been able to produce a genius like Chanakya? Chanakya, although he has become a part of the old history, but his book, the Arthashastra, or the book which deals in the statecraft, it is a hot subject these days. And as I learned in a large number of administrative schools or management schools or management institutes, his books are being read not only in India, it is also being discussed and hotly debated in foreign countries. You know, some of the people try to compare Chanakya to I forget the name of that man, but there is no comparison. And the man who wrote Prince, or Machiavelli, I'm sorry. Some people compare, try to compare, but there is no ground of comparison at all. Where Chanakya is a mammoth, he's a giant. This man is just a pygmy. He stands nowhere. Whereas Chanakya book, Arthashastra, is not only about the state craft, it is about art, culture, everything. Whereas the other man's book is only about dirty politics, dirty games of politics, dirty game of power, and nothing else. And that also is very, very limited thoughts, yes. So, to my mind, neither there is any comparison, or nor there is any, I should say, depth. So that's about Bihar.
Mr. Sinha, with such a...
So what I wanted, that if Bihar had all these things in the past, but in the present situation, what is happening to it? It's being ridiculed everywhere. Wherever I was there, whether it was a training in South India or North India or wherever, I felt very bad. But when they talked to me, then they slightly wanted to change their opinion because I represented Bihar I should say, with a much force, much more force. And so I wanted to bring the name of Bihar not only to the other states by writing books, but also going beyond the shores of India, and telling the world that our promises are not empty. Our promises are not empty. We have got their stuff. When India became free, who was the first president of India? Why didn't other states produce any president? Why was the man from Bihar, from the poor background, I should say, he became the president? Dr. Satyananda Sinha was
such a glorious past, Mr. Sinha.
Yeah.
Bihar got such a glorious past. But
yeah.
Where do you think things started going wrong when it comes to education? Because we know Bihar today is the state with the second highest number of IAS, coming every year.
Yeah.
So where do you see things going wrong? Is it with the basic school education, higher education? And what would you advise to the government of the day when it comes to instituting some course correction in the education?
Actually, you cannot pinpoint only one factor. It is our social, I should say, thinking that has brought down everything here. You know, there was a time when in ancient India, whenever a rishi or a guru came to the court of the prince or king, the whole court would stand up for welcoming that guru, and the guru would be requested, even begged sometimes by the king, to take a chair near his own throne. So that was the kind of respect that the people were given, that these people were given. But gradually, what I found, that during the Muslim rule, most of the educational institutions were either demolished, destroyed, and all this. So this this caused the downfall. This caused the downfall. And also there was a very peculiar, I should say, saying in Bihar, that katauni pisauni padhauni means, padhauni means teaching. Job of teaching was as good as harvesting or grinding corn. So this was the depth to which the thought of education had true. And when the teacher is not allotted or given the desired respect, then what does it do? Because the society doesn't respect it. But also, I must say that because I've been associated with education, I used to hear that in early that teacher will play his role in as good a way as he's paid. And most of people understood it, but I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. It is the nowadays most of the schools, most of the government schools, most of the government institutions are paying it very handsomely, very handsomely, very heavily to the teachers. But because I've been the principal of Navodaya Vidyalayas, I've also had the opportunity of meeting many teachers, many schools, many principals, I find that the teachers are not doing whatever they are not doing justice to what they are paid for. There's a typical tendency that is developed in Bihar, that if you get a government job, you don't have to work. And many schools, schools in villages, there are teachers who are heavily paid. They rarely attend the classes regularly. There is a moral degradation. This kind of moral degradation has set in, and only some drastic change can let the things in the reverse gear. So education is not only Bihar's problem, I should say. Most of the places, education is looked down upon. It is not being given that much attention, but still, I must say, there are a handful of teachers. There are some very good teachers who are very devoted, very careful, and very concerned about their students, and they know what their students need, and they address their anxieties and curiosities and all that. So education, the picture is rather not very clear, I should say. There has to be an attitudinal change, not only among the teachers, because teachers are a small fraction of the society, and they come from the stock. They come from the same stock, and they naturally they have inherited that thinking. So the attitudinal change has to take place at the level of the society. For example, in Bihar, we are very lazy. I've got nothing. I've got no hesitation in admitting we are very lazy. We don't want to do our things correctly because there is a feeling चलता है, चलेगा, no problem, अरे चलने दो यार. So this kind of tendency, this kind of chalta hai, this culture has to go, has to go, has to go. People have to realize that if Bihar is theirs, Bihar is theirs. Category. Now it is being looked upon, so looked down upon. So now it is their duty to see and ensure that we bring it at par with not only other states, much more ahead of them. So it is their responsibility. This attitudinal change, it chalta hai, this should go. There should be some time.
How do you see the challenges of education in current times? During this COVID-19 pandemic, education sector is facing a lot of crisis. Now with a lot of online education, we know that the internet access is not fairly distributed.
Yeah.
So how do you see the challenges and what would you suggest going ahead, the education changing forever? It's the way it used to be practiced.
I must admit wholeheartedly that the government has been planning it well, and they have been planning it well. But the point is, the problem is at the level of execution. All this kind of online teaching, online classes, it needs infrastructure which our country is not able to provide everywhere, because a large number of students come from the village side, and in the villages the supply of electricity is not very regular, not very good, and also the accessibility of the channel. So these are the inbuilt problems that are there, and the government has been trying. We should not blame the government for everything every time. It was such a Herculean task, such a gigantic proportions that had to be looked at. And in a day or two, you cannot have the infrastructure coming up throughout the whole length and breadth of the country. So I must say that the government has been doing well, and the intentions have been very clear and very clean, and the task they had taken in the hand, it is very clear. But the sheer size of our country, and also the attitude to work of our people, even high officials, that makes the problem complicated. And the desired progress or development or prosperity that we want or we wish it had taken place. So this makes it suffer. So everywhere, my point is that awakening is there, a thorough awakening in the society, that we as a country, we as a nation, or as a people on behalf, we have to be proud of it, and we have to do everything that we could, every bit that is possible to raise it. Unless that kind of belongingness, I again repeat the word belongingness, if that kind of belongingness is instilled into the faith of the people, then that will happen. And let's wait for, but I must admit also that the youth today is more and more ambitious. They have got a lot of aspirations. They are working hard also. You see the coaching institutions that are coming up, hundreds and thousands springing up. And even in remotest areas, that shows that people want to come up. And Bihar will come up. Bihar has got the capacity. Sometimes I make criticism of Bihar, saying that Bihar's only problem is that it has a lot of intelligence. It has a lot of intelligence. People are very intelligent. Whenever a rule is prepared, it's another route is already found out. But that shows the intellectual prowess of the people, even the uneducated are sometimes doing fantastic things. They find out ways and means of finding a solution. I'm glad I have been able to answer some of your queries.
Yes, sir,
What's your
these are very insightful, comments and ideas. I'm sure people who are sitting, who are elected representatives, they'll definitely take note of it, because coming from you, it matters a lot. You know education like the back of your hand. So, I mean, of course, you know the inside out of the working, the current challenges also you are saying, and your suggestions will definitely go a long way in somewhat lessening the crisis that the education sector
yeah,
finds itself in. So that's very important. And uh, a lot of your work, our viewers want to hear about a lot of your work that you have put together in 20 years of your retirement, post-retirement. You have produced 27 books, so that's like books per year, right? And most of these pieces of work they have found global resonance. So,
yeah, yeah.
how do you see that? Can you explain it to our viewers, like how your perspective on the global resonance that your most of your books that you have authored it has find?
I'm thankful to you for making making such a pointed question to me. But I must tell you that right from the beginning, in course of my in course of my teaching English, I had developed some kind of feeling that knowledge must be served and presented before the students in such a way that it becomes palatable, that it becomes a pleasure. So whatever I had earned as a teacher, as far as knowledge is concerned, I wrote a book. And I must tell you honestly that if my two books, Enrich Your English and Better English Pronunciation, which were written primarily and mainly for the Indian students, if these two books are procured by an international giant like McGraw-Hill, and they bring out the international edition, so it means that they must have seen something substantial. They must have found merit in these books. And because these biggies, they don't invest money for nothing.
Yes.
They must make they must make the best out of it. And they brought out the international edition, and not only brought out, as I told you, this book, Better English Pronunciation, is being sold in countries which are already English speaking. It is a very unique case that a Hindi speaking man, writes English pronunciation. And that book is reintroduced in those countries where English is spoken. The children are born with English in their mouth. So that is something fantastic. And this gave me not only a pleasure, it also gave me a surprise. And it also instilled pride in me that I must have done something substantial and something meritorious, because a publisher sitting in America, he comes down to India and then he buys these books and brings out international edition. And not only that, these books have also been entered into the university libraries of Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and Southeastern University, Sri Lanka. So I think I feel very satisfied. I feel very satisfied on this count, that as a teacher, a large number of professors and teachers write books, guides, etc. in Bihar. And this is complex. But those books are limited only to a very, very small audience. It doesn't it doesn't get opportunity to cross even the boundary of Bihar. Whereas my book not only is not only is evaluated here and appreciated, it also gets that draws the attention of a foreign publishing giant who brings out its international edition. So so, so that gives me a lot of satisfaction. That gives me a lot. That yes, I have done something very, very substantial.
No, I
And
mean,
being
it has resonated, your experience which you have compiled in the form of different books. It has resonated with a global audience. I mean, cutting across continents, right from Africa, US, Canada, UK, Europe.
Yeah.
Books are being referred, and
Yeah.
the students are getting a lot.
No, nobody's paying anything to me. They're all usurping the money. Nothing comes to me. You see, this is my book, Better English Pronunciation. Is it visible there?
Can you just
Is it visible?
lift it? Can you lift it slightly up? Can you lift it slightly up? Oh yes.
Is it all right?
Yeah, it's visible. Yes. Slightly up, sir, to the camera. Slightly up. Yes, it's clearly visible. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I don't want it to be named as a self-propagation, but I must also let the people know that a Bihari is not an ordinary man.
Definitely not. Definitely. That's why, I started this conversation by referring to the time when so many books in Nalanda University, in our library, they were burned. And now, a book written by a person from Bihar, a Hindi-speaking belt, that taken to US, to Canada, to world. So that is like, the circle is complete. That's what I wanted to.
Yeah. The time has run full circle.
Yes,
time has run full circle.
That's true. Yeah. So education has been
always. That really gives me satisfaction.
Yes, sir.
That I have done something different from most of them. And I have brought Bihar to be recognized as a place where a Hindi-speaking man's book on English pronunciation is taught in Canada and European countries and US.
I think you have. It would be very correct to say that you have put Bihar on the global literary map.
Yeah.
So that's a huge contribution from you, and the way through your work, through your you have shaped so many lives, so many of students, so many careers you have shaped. So indeed, not everybody gets to do all that in one lifetime.
Yeah. That's right. In a way, I'm leveling my debt against the state. The state's debt on me.
Yes.
The state's debt on me. The state has every claim over me. And it is my bounden duty to take its name to the frontiers and let the people say, and let the people see that we had been undermining them, we had been underestimating them, we have been abusing them, we have been talking so many bad things about them. But where are they? Where are they now? Can they compare with any of my books? No. So that gives me a lot of confidence.
That's true.
That gives me pride. That fills me with pride. I say yes.
So education has always been very close to the middle class. At middle class, we get a lot of queries from middle class families, from parents concerned about the education, more so in today's crisis time that we are witnessing.
That's right.
What would you suggest those families, those Indian middle class families, the parents who are really concerned and worried about this new mode of online teaching, and they are really concerned that it might hamper their learning process in the long run? So what would you tell such parents, sir?
I must say that the pandemic must not be seen as a permanent guest. It must not be seen as a permanent destroyer. We are passing through a temporary phenomenon. And this kind of anxiety that the people of not only the people of the middle class, everywhere the parents are worried about. And not only the parents are worried, even the children are worried. And not only are the children worried, because I know in my family there are so many teachers who are engaged in online classes. They prepare lessons and very often they consult me. So I'm in picture. So this is just a phenomenon and we have to learn to live through it. We have to learn to live, and not only learn to live through it, we must also make the best out of it. Because you must not only swim with the current, you must learn how to swim against the current. Because when you swim against the current, you rise high. You have the power to struggle. You have the power to struggle. And I feel that all kinds of misconceptions or misunderstandings have cropped up in the society about the utility or I should say otherwise of these online classes. I don't agree with that. Everywhere I find that the teachers are doing their job, and it is just a drastic 180-degree drastic change. Teachers who have been teaching classes, physically present classes, now they have completely altered their whole system and take to online teaching. So it is, I should say, it is a complete sea change. It is a complete sea change. And for that, not only the teachers are there to be made responsible, the whole society has to also cooperate, because it is an entirely new system that has developed. The children have to be coaxed. They have to be persuaded to look at the screen, what is happening there, and take notes. So there have been cases where some children who are not at all interested in this kind of, because everywhere children are of a variety of kinds. So some are not that much, I should say, attentive to whatever the teacher on the online class is doing. But that happens even in a physical class.
That's true.
I remember I've been a teacher. I also studied in schools. In a class of 40, if there are 40 students, not everybody is as attentive to the teacher as they should be. Because individual differences are there. Individual differences have been there, they are, and they will be, because that is human nature. Everybody can't think the same. Everybody can't think the same. Everybody can't think or take things in the same. Everybody takes whatever he thinks is wrong, and whatever is the capacity. A man going to the river Ganges carries a small lota, and somebody carries a balti. So the man who carries the balti, he drinks the sacred water home, but the other man brings in water. So that is knowledge. Ganga stands for knowledge. The river stands for flow of knowledge. So everybody takes whatever he is capable of, and whatever he thinks is the right dose for him. So that is individual differences will always be there. Whatever the things our people say or experts see, individual differences are there. Because every man is not the same. Men are born different. Men have to think different, and they have to think.
I'm so privileged, and I'm so happy that, a conversation with someone like you, it's worth reading, say, 1,000 books. I can tell you that, because you have seen times change drastically, And
Yeah, yeah.
now you are so actively involved in putting together the words of wisdom through different books, documentaries, and all. And it's indeed a great treasure and moment of pride for our country, of course, for the state of Bihar, for our nation, that you are past 80, if I'm not sure. You are into
Yeah,
early
yeah. 81 plus.
90s, right? Yeah. At this age, all the pearls of wisdom you have accumulated over all these years of working, teaching, planning, executing, policies as an administrator, all these things are coming out, and the last 2 decades, you have put all of them together for the posterity, for the generations to come. They will be referring to your books and taking a lot of knowledge, wisdom out of that. So I thank you, Mr. Sinha, for this wonderful conversation that you took time for us for Middle Class Hub. And from the entire team of Middle Class Hub, I can tell you, stay safe, stay healthy, keep spreading the words of wisdom, keep continuing with the work that you do, because I can tell you this is the most important work in the world needs. So keep continue doing what you are doing, keep motivating, keep inspiring, and we wish you all the best, and be safe, sir. Be safe, stay healthy. Thank you so much, sir.
Mr. Alankar, I must thank you for showering the undeserved praise. That has come so abundantly to me. And I was rather embarrassed in the way you were telling so many things that I may not be having or having. But I
No,
must tell
sir,
you one
not
thing.
at all.
Literature, as I told you, literature has been my weakness. And I should say, I've been rather an introvert right from the beginning. And introversion gave me the opportunity to read more and more and more and enrich myself. And when you are fully enriched, then you want to share it with others.
Yeah.
You want to give it to others. You want to share it with others, so that people may know what they have not been able to, or they were not exposed to. So that it was not their fault at all. So, as far as literature is concerned, most of my work is concerned with the English language, teaching of English language, or enrichment of language. I've done work on grammar, composition, phrases, etc. And then learning language, linguistic also. But I think because these are all dry things. So when I started writing stories, then some novels, then I brought out a book of poetry. Then I also brought out a book where the various mythological episodes have been dramatized. And they keep me, I should say, they keep me engaged. Because if I don't have anything to do, I feel I shall run mad. क्या करना है तो? What to do? I got nothing to do. I must invent. I must invent. I must create a necessity and then do it. And so I myself chastise. I myself question. What are you doing? You are doing nothing. You are doing sitting idle. So much of knowledge and so much of learning will go waste. Then I'm reminded of Milton, John Milton. You know, Milton was one of the greatest scholars of his time. At the age of 53, he became totally blind. And when he became blind, he was cursing himself that God had sent him to this world with his special talents. And when he'll go back to him after his demise, then God might ask him, what did you do it? You wasted your energy. You wasted your talent. So whenever I thought of Milton, my God, the same kind of feeling he must have. I know I said, no, 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 I will not. Yeah. I'm very often, if you don't take it otherwise, I'll quote a few lines from
Yes, please, sir.
famous
Please go ahead.
Tennyson, Ulysses, the hero who's old and as old as me, he finds himself useless. He says, I cannot rest from travel. I cannot rest from travel. I will drink life to the lees. How dull it is to pause. How dull it is to pause, to make an end, to rust unburnished, not to shine in youth, as though breathing your life. It is never too late to seek a newer world. This is my motto. It is never too late to seek a newer world. You must always be active, always be inquisitive. You must always try to know what. This is the boundary that I have drawn around myself with knowledge. But a lot of things are yet to be found out. It is never too late to seek a newer world. My purpose holds to sail beyond the sunset. To sail beyond the sunset. So that is mine. I believe in working because not working is you have surrendered yourself, and that is I should say that is a sin to God, towards God. He has sent you here with talents, and you are misusing that. It is criminal. It is a criminal. It is a crime. I must do as long as, although I'm physically not well, I must say. 81, 82 is not very, and this corona atmosphere is so depressing. So I'm still, by your good wishes, you will find me marching ahead again. And I believe people must utilize their time to the best. And the more you do, the more you create, the more elevated you feel yourself. The more sense of self-contentment comes to you. That gives you a feeling that, yes, I have done something great. I have done something which others have not done. And that again rejuvenates me. That makes me younger. And that I should say delights. And when you are delighted, you swell. Your heart just swells.
Your life mantra, your motto, I'm sure, sir, this conversation itself will be so inspiring for the youth of today. They can take such great inspiration to how to live a life of contentment, fulfillment,
Yeah.
giving back, not just living for yourself, but giving back to the society, and keep working till the time your mind, your body allows. So that's been your motto, and I'm sure it's very inspiring. It's gonna be very inspiring for a lot of youth out there. Thank you so much, Mr. Sinha, for talking to us, and we wish you all the best. Stay safe, stay healthy, and what you always do. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your very, very great wishes for my health and my activities. I feel I must not retire. People retire, they have got their own concept of life, but my concept of life is entirely different. In the year 2012, after 12 years, 13 years of retirement, I went on European tour alone. People at my house and family, they were not happy with my decision. And they were cursing me for that. I said, nothing doing, I'll go. because हमने कहा ना अभी I cannot rest from travel. I cannot rest. Because traveling means activity. And once you are dead, like a dead tree, what you are nothing, it's useless. A vegetable is stuff. Oh, I hate that kind of feeling. I just can't think like that. That's why I still go on writing, and that's why I not only wrote books on English language, different vocabulary, grammar, etc., composition, letter all that stuff. I then tried my hand in poetry, prose, stories, Hindi, then I came to Hindi. And many of my articles were published. Travelogues. I also wrote a book in Bhojpuri about my travels, European travels. The name of the book is Hamahu Dekhali Europe.
Okay, sounds good.
I tried I tried my hand in English, in Hindi, and in Bhojpuri also. So that gives me pleasure. That gives you pleasure. The more you do, the more you create, you feel you are different. And the moment you feel you are different from others, that gives you more energy for living much better, much longer, because I have many more things to do. The world is waiting for me. The world is waiting more for my creation. When I wrote first book, second book, third book, fourth book, I came up to 27. And besides that, I also wrote stories, travelogues in Hindi magazines. So, no end. हम कहते छोड़े यार क्या बैठे बैठे करना, nothing doing. Because I am my own teacher. I check what task have I prepared, and what more is to be done. If it is not done, why? So very often I chastise myself, I scold myself, and I spur myself back. I say, man, ये गलत हो रहा है, क्या करेंगे? अरे दुनिया से कुछ तो कर लो यार, बैठे बैठे.
It's a wonderful conversation, Mr. Sinha. Thank you so much for your time.
Now I request you to share two more lines.
Please, sir. Please go
As I
ahead.
told you, the poem was Ulysses. He's an old man. So he's about to die.
Okay.
So he calls his men, those who had fought. I forget the name of the war. It was a Trojan War. So he says, though much is taken, much abides. We are wasted. Our physical limits have been already overworked. And though we are not that strength, which in old days moved earth and heaven. That which we are. Look at this. That which we are. That is enough. Huh? Why should we be sorry for that? Why should we feel that we are no longer as active? That which we are. Make we weak by time. Look at the words. Made weak by time and fate. Yes, age has its own impact upon me. And fate also. But a strong wind will. So, that which we are made weak by time and fate, but a strong in will. Strong in will. Will to do what? To strike, to seek, to find, and not to yield. Yield means surrender, no surrender. As long as there is life, I'll go. And this is my message. I'm not a big man to give any message to people. And this is the way, this is the attitude. if you really want happiness. And whenever I do, look at my books and articles and in foreign exposures, to them, they give me pleasure कि हाँ कुछ तो किया है और करेंगे. This is not the end. A lot is still waiting to be done. The journey has not. We have only crossed some milestones. The ultimate is still there, and it is beckoning me. It is calling me, beckoning me. Here you come.
I think I can only say in the end that for you the journey has just begun.
This is the second innings of the journey.
Second innings of it.
Second innings.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for this wonderful insight of sharing about your life. We wish you all the best. Thank you so much for joining us at Middle Class, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I must thank the, I should say, organizers who had given this opportunity to me, who doesn't think himself much himself. What they thought in me, I just don't know. But they must have thought something substantial. At least I can. And I must thank my viewers who have been with me, hearing all kinds of unnecessary things or whatever. But I think I was not off the track.
No, sir. No, sir. I mean, nothing. Not at all. In fact, I can tell you, you're going to get terrific response for that. I can tell you because it's such a full insight for not just for the youth, for everyone, whoever is going through. We all are going through a tough time right now. So coming from a lot of life enthusiasm to life positivity. So these are the things that are the need of the hour. The world needs more and more of that. And today, through this conversation, you have given a lot of.
The world needs reinvigoration.
Yes.
The world needs regeneration. The world needs, because the people are afraid, they are depressed, they are tired, they are fatigued intellectually and physically. So new kind of blood has to be injected.
Yes.
And let there be a new world, new world order. Tennyson says the old order changes, leading a place, new world, old order changes. So the world is waiting for that.
Yes, the world is waiting. No doubt.
We should never be despondent. We should never be, I should say, sad. We must never have the drooping spirits. No, there's no place for that in life. We must always think, whatever patch of badness, bad days have come, this will also go. There is only one thing that is permanent in the universe, that is change. Change is the only law that rules the whole universe. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. I'm glad you gave me this opportunity to, to talk so much unnecessary things.
It's an honor, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.